Hello dear students, I am Sonali Samir Kulkarni. I am a teacher with Utkarsh Vidyalay English Medium. I teach English and History to 9th and 10th standard. Today we are going to discuss the first poem in our 10th standard textbook for English 1.1, Where the Mind is Without Fear by Rabindranath Tagore. Hello dear children and welcome to this session of English literature, wherein we are going to discuss about the poem in our English textbook for State Board, the first poem 1.1, Where the Mind is Without Fear, written by the great Indian poet Rabindranath Tagore. Before we move ahead to see about the poem, let us discuss what the poet wants to say in this poem. This poem was written when we were under the British rule, that is, when India was striving for freedom, for independence. This poem, originally written in Bengali language, was published in 1910 and was included in the 1912 collection Gitanjali. Tagore himself translated it in English and it appeared as poem 35 in English Gitanjali. It has been recited on many historic occasions, like in 1917 at the Indian National Congress session in Calcutta. Tagore read out the English version of the poem, which was titled Indian Prayer. During his address to the Indian Parliament in 2010, the then US President Mr. Barack Obama quoted a few lines of this poem. This poem consists of 11 lines which are not divided into stanzas but are divided into meaningful segments. This poem is a prayer to the God, the Almighty, for a true freedom of our motherland, India. Having known about the poem, let us also know more about the poet. Rabindranath Tagore was born on 7th May 1861 in Kolkata. He was a Bengali poet, writer, composer and a painter as well. He reshaped the Bengali literature and music as well as Indian art in the late 19th and early 20th century. In 1930, he won the Nobel Prize in Literature. His work is frequently noted for rhythmic, optimistic and lyrical nature. Being a visionary, Tagore aimed at making Mother India free, united, rational and strong. This poem is a sweet dream of a great nationalist who strived wholeheartedly to shape cultural and intellectual identity of Mother India. This poem is a sweet dream of a great nationalist who strived wholeheartedly to shape cultural and intellectual identity of modern India. Having known about the poem and the poet, let us move ahead to read out the poem and try to understand its meaning. The poem begins with the beautiful line, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free. The poet prays to the Almighty that his countrymen should be free from any kind of fear or oppression or forced compulsion. He wishes that everyone in his country has his health. The poet prays to the Almighty that his countrymen should be free from any kind of fear of oppression or forced compulsion. He wishes that everyone in his country has his head held high in dignity. He must be able to live his life with self-respect. In the line where knowledge is free, the poet dreams of a nation where knowledge is free and not restricted to some portion of the society based on class, caste, gender or other barriers, because when knowledge is restricted, people become dogmatic and narrow-minded. Tagore wishes his countrymen to awaken and become broad-minded by enlightening it with the power of knowledge. Dear children, when the poet says, where the mind is without fear and head is held high, where knowledge is free, the poet means to say that when we are not under any threat or under any pressure and we can hold our head high in dignity, and where knowledge is free. This all is possible. We will not be under any threat, or we will be able to hold our head high in dignity only when knowledge is free. The knowledge should be free means it should not be really given for free of cost, but here when the poet is saying knowledge is free, he means to say that there should not be any restriction. Anyone and everyone who wishes to take knowledge or who wishes to get educated should be able to do so without any pressure or without any fear. Let us move ahead with the next lines of the poem. Where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. When the poet is saying this, he means with the broken up into fragments, the poet means to say broken into pieces or divided into small groups. And narrow domestic walls here means division on the basis of religion, caste, class and color in societies and between different countries of the world. In these three lines, the poet wishes for a world which is not fragmented, that is, which is not broken into pieces or divided into small groups by prejudices based on caste, creed, religion, or other baseless superstitions. He means to say that the country should not be divided, or the world should not be divided on basis of some superstitions or some prejudices like caste, creed, color. So basically he means to say that there should not be division in the society on the basis of any superstitions or prejudices or racism, we can say, or something of that sort. Moving ahead, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection. Here, children, tireless striving means continuous efforts and struggle, and stretches its arms means aims at achieving the goal. So here the poet wants a nation where people are truthful, not superficial. They should be true from the bottom of their heart. It should not be only just to show someone or to just to praise someone just for their personal gains or something of that sort. But here the poet says that the people should be truthful in the real sense. The words should come from the depth of their hearts. He believed that only truthful and honest people can lead the nation towards prosperity. The lines, where tireless striving stretches its arm towards perfection, it is an example of fine personification. Personification refers to the attribution of human quality to inanimate ideas. Here, tireless striving, that is, trying continuously again and again, is given the human quality of stretching its arm to reach one's goal through perfection. The poet talks about his desire for a country where people should strive continuously, repeatedly, again and again, without getting tired, to reach perfection, leaving behind prejudices and old traditions. So basically here we can see, children, that the poet, the great Rabindranath Tagore, wants his countrymen to be very truthful and very hardworking. They should be very focused at achieving their aims, and they should be ready to take all the efforts that are needed to build such a nation wherein we are ready to take all the efforts, we are ready to put in our best to strive or to get or to accomplish our goals. Next lines, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection. Here, tireless striving means continuous efforts and struggle, whereas stretches its arms means aims at achieving a goal. Children, here the poet wants a nation where people are truthful and not superficial. That means they do not speak the words only to praise someone, or which is not from the real self, from their inner self. When we say something just to praise others or to make others comfortable, that is called as superficial, which is not what we mean with, or which is not what comes from our inner soul. So he says that his countrymen should be very truthful, and they should not be superficial. The words should come from the depth of their hearts. He believed that only truthful and honest people can lead the nation towards prosperity. The line, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, is an example of fine personification. Personification, children, refers to attribution of human quality to inanimate ideas. Here, tireless striving, that is, trying continuously again and again, is given the human quality of stretching its arms to reach one's goals through perfection. The poet talks about his desire for a country where people should strive continuously, repeatedly, again and again, without getting tired, to reach perfection, leaving behind prejudices and old traditions. So the poet wants here the poet is saying that the people should be very truthful, and they should be very willing to, or they should be open to accept the challenges, and they should be very hardworking to and they should be ready to repeat the things again and again, unless and until they achieve their goal, or they are successful in what their aim was. So he truly hopes for a truthful and hardworking people for a developed country, or for a country to be really very progressive. Let us move on to the next lines. Where the clear stream of reasons has not lost its way into the dreary desert sands of dead habit. Let us move on to the next lines. Where the clear storm, let us move on to the next lines. Where the clear stream of reasons has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. Children, here dead habit means old traditions, rituals, and customs that are harmful. And dreary deserts means barrenness, unfruitful or unproductive, or we can say banjar zameen, sort of, wherein we cannot expect productivity, or we cannot expect something to flourish there, or something will be very fruitful or very constructive there. So in these lines the poet has used a metaphor and compared reasons to a clear stream which flows smoothly. Just as a flowing river loses its way in the sandy desert, similarly dead customs are also harm all the good intellectual qualities of a man. Reasons, being the intellectual power in a man, helps him to move ahead or move forward and get at perfection. Reason is not literally a clear, smooth flowing stream, but a metaphor lets us visualize that it is like a thing clearly. Reason is not literally a clear, smooth flowing stream, but a metaphor lets us visualize what it is like to think clearly. Similarly, habits are not a desert. A dreary desert is an image of monotony and barrenness, and suggests unthinking habits that unthinking habits gets us nowhere and yield no harvest. The poet wants the power of reason to dominate the minds of the countrymen. He does not want the stream of reason to be lost amongst outdated customs and traditions, and only that can direct the mind towards selfless thoughts and everlasting actions. Children, in very simple words, here the poet is saying that we should not find reasons, or he dear children, here the poet is trying to say that if we are doing something, or when we are doing something constructive, our actions should not be stopped or paused because of old rituals or old customs which are baseless or which are not true. So, dear children, in simple words, here the poet means to say that we should not stop our work, or we should not stop our thinking, or we should not stop our actions based only on superstitions or things which are just prejudices. Instead, he says we should find out the reasons, and if we find the reasons to be really correct, then and then only we should consider them. Otherwise, we should not stop our good works or good deeds only for superstitions or prejudices. Let us move ahead to the last part of the poem, where the mind is led forward by thee into everlasting thoughts and action, into the heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Dear children, thee is written in capital, it is written with the T is capital in thee, referring to God. So, here thee is referred to as God, and everlasting, ever widening means forever broadening one's outlook. Heaven of freedom is condition of total freedom of thoughts, good words, good deeds, while respecting those of others. In the last part of the poem, the poet wishes his countrymen to be open-minded and progressive. True freedom lies in the mind which is always led forward by the universal mind of the Father, God Almighty, into the poet wishes his countrymen to be open-minded and progressive. According to him, true freedom lies in the mind which is always led forward by the universal mind of the God, the Almighty, or the Father. Here again, Father is referred to, or God is referred to as Father, because F we can see is written in capitals. So he says that only these we can he is praying to God to lead the nation or lead the countrymen into ever widening thoughts and actions. Through the last lines, the poet expresses his vision of India as a heaven where there is freedom of thought, spirit, faith, speech, which will lead to the inner perfection of the self. It is to be noted here that the heaven of freedom for which the poet prayed is not economic or political freedom. It is a spiritual freedom from fear, narrow-mindedness, and evil desires. Thus, Tagore wants spiritual, intellectual, and political freedom to enable his countrymen to think freely and enter into a new world of thought. According to him, self-respect and self-esteem are psychological foundations for the development of individuality. The free flow of knowledge is the base for a free and prosperous society. Dear children, we can see that in the last part of the poem, the poet is praying to God that his countrymen should be free from all the prejudices, from all the superstitions, and he says that they should be looking forward, or they should be able to broaden their outlook towards the total freedom. And here, with the freedom, he does not mean with the freedom of political freedom or cultural freedom, but he means with the freedom of thoughts, freedom of good words, good deeds, and also he says that when we are doing this, when we do have the freedom of good thoughts or good deeds or good words, we should be very aware that we should do this while respecting those of others. So the good thoughts and good deeds of others should be respected as well. So he requests to God, or he prays to God, that in this freedom let my country be this, or let my countrymen have this freedom, and they should be awakened. Awakened is they should be very prosperous. Let the country prosper with the positive thinking and good thoughts of his countrymen. With this, we come to the end of this explanation of this poem, where the mind is without fear. So, I think by now you must be very clear what poet wants to say in this poem. He wants a country really free from the superstitions and prejudices or the old superstitions. Going ahead to the last part of the poem, where the mind is led forward by thee into everlasting thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Children, here the word thee refers to God, because the word T, because the letter T in the word thee is written capital. Also, the word Father also refers to the Almighty or to the God, ever widening, forever broadening one's outlook, and heaven of freedom means condition of total freedom of thoughts, good words, good deeds, while respecting those of others. So, children, in the last part of the poem, the poet wishes his countrymen to be open minded and progressive. True freedom lies in the mind which is always led forward by the universal mind of the Father, the God, the Almighty, into ever widening thought and action. So, children, as we all know that our mind is really very powerful. If we decide to do something, or if we think something very firmly in our mind, or if we are very if we accept something in our mind, we are bound to do it, we are bound to get it, we are bound to complete it. So when we say we think it, we have half of the things are done. So similarly here the poet is saying that his countrymen should be open minded and progressive, and then only he can expect, or we can have true freedom in if we have freedom in the minds of the people. The physical freedom of the country is not at all a dream, it will definitely turn into reality, because our minds have already thought that and visualized that. So it becomes really easy, and half of the things become really done or easy. So, through the last line, the poet expresses his vision of India as a heaven where there is freedom of thought, spirit, faith, speech, which will lead to the inner perfection of the self. It is to be noted here that the heaven of freedom for which the poet prayed is not the economic or the political freedom, but it is a spiritual freedom from fear, narrow mindedness, and evil desires, that is, the bad desires. Thus, Tagore wants spiritual, intellectual, and political freedom to enable his countrymen to think freely and enter into new world of thought. According to him, self-respect and self-esteem are psychological foundations for the development of individuality. The free flow of knowledge is the base for the free and progressive society. So, children, in the last part of the poem, we can see that it is the poet wants to say, or he is praying to God, that his countrymen should be really free from their mind, in their mind, rather than the political freedom or physical freedom. He is aiming at the spiritual freedom, or the freedom of mind, the freedom of thoughts, wherein they are not threatened or they are not under any pressure, and they can hold their heads high in dignity and self respect. So, if we have self respect, if we have the freedom of thought, and if we have dignity, he says it is just impossible for the nation to progress and prosper. So here in the last line, he is praying to God for for that awakening of his countrymen into wherein, because of freedom of thought and freedom of dignity, or because of dignity, they can transform this nation into a free country, just like a heaven. I hope you must have understood this poem very well. Thank you so much for paying attention and listening to it. Thank you.